feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Welcome to the Total Apex Sports podcast Thursday edition because of scheduling. We gotta do it Thursday night, a little impromptu, but we got some new guests from the site. Welcome Jacob from Total Apex Sports, and I know Chris couldn't make it last week, so he can get through and make his Super Bowl pick for his. I know he's gonna say Patriots, but score prediction. And Brandon has also had to yet make his Super Bowl prediction officially. So yeah, there's a lot of just general sports stuff we have to get into even before the Super Bowl. So let's start with just NFL news in general.
All right. What do you guys want to tackle first for the topic?
Yeah. So the first thing I saw on Monday was, Jacob, you can start with this. Like the government approved ESPN deal of NFL media assets with NFL Network and NFL Red Zone. So I don't think they're gonna. I don't know when the deadline's gonna be, but now ESPN's gonna get.
They said in a few months. I'm not sure exactly the exact deadline date, but yeah, that's what I saw.
Yeah, like what do you think of like ESPN just gathering all the sports media platforms and?
It's kind of just like what ESPN's been doing for forever. It's just conglomerizing everything and just taking all the media, incorporating it in their own thing, like they did with the Pat McAfee show. They took that, made it their own thing, and then they took NBA on TNT, came over, and they're doing it. So it's just pretty much like just a whole conglomeration. I'm not surprised by it. They got the money for it. They got Disney's backing, so it's a no-brainer.
Right. Yeah, like it's not too big of a deal. Like with the ad stuff, like we'll see like how much that impacts the product. But it's not. I don't know if it's a good sign. Like as of now, just in general.
Well, yeah, I'd like more. I'd love to have more competition on that end, but that's how media works anymore. In today's day and age, it's just about they take you have a competitor, they get bought out, you come over. It's like there's not much you can really do about it. But I just hope the product stays good.
Yeah,
that's all I hope for.
Exactly. Real quick, we have like a bunch of like coordinator moves and assistant coaching moves that happened over the past week that we didn't really get to touch on. But I know Brandon, like the Eagles won. Jeff Stoutland stepped down, and there's rumors that Vic Fangio might have considered retirement. How does the Eagles' outlook get affected by that?
So the Stoutland thing, I'm going to talk second because I'm going to take a little bit longer with that. The Vic stuff, it looks like Vic's coming back. The Enquirer reported earlier today that Vic's coming back. So he will be back as DC as expected, and the defense will be, similar as it was to 25 and 24 and so forth and so forth. So I'm not worried about the Vic Fangio stuff really right now. The Stoutland stuff, I think it's going to be interesting to see who they bring in because they already hired the one of the Green Bay coaches as the run game coordinator and the tight ends coach as well. So they got new staff completely. They're going to build a new staff, which will be interesting to see how this offense looks in 25 or in 26 as a whole. And with the new staff and with like Guzard and Mannion like spearheading this offense, especially. So it should be interesting how it looks like overall throughout the whole process of the offseason and what players are there. They pretty much, if the players stay the same, I think the Eagles will be fine, and they'll still be a contender heading into a Super Bowl contender next year. So
Hey, can I jump on this too?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So like losing Stoutland sucks, but I think we still have a great staff. O-line goes bad. It's like we still have a solid O-line to make up for it. It's just so who do you replace them with? I was talking with a buddy earlier today. I was like, maybe Jason Kelsey comes in. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. He seems pretty comfortable doing his broadcasting job.
I think so. Yeah.
Vic Fangio, the retirement stuff, I'm glad he's coming back. He's been a great DC for us for the past couple of years, so it's great to have him back on the staff. In terms of all the other staff transactions for the Eagles, at least, getting the guy from Green Bay, the quarterback's coach, to come be our OC, that's going to be huge because even though he was only the quarterback's coach, you saw during his 4 years in Green Bay, Jordan Love's progression as a quarterback go higher and higher, especially this past season. You saw his growth immensely. So I think that'll definitely help in terms of, the play calling aspect of it. They'll definitely improve. So I think overall we're fine where we're at.
Yeah. I'm gonna just real quick just talk a bunch of other moves. Raheem Morris went to the Niners. Jim Leonard went to the Bills, and they got Carmichael as well. Jonathan Gannon went to Green Bay. The enemy back to Kansas City. Yeah, I don't think we touched on any of these.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and
I think the enemy is a good sneaky one because they lost a lot of when the enemy left, they lost a lot of their explosiveness. Even though they still had probably the best quarterback in the league, and they got Xavier Worthy in the draft, and they somehow lost the deep ball. And I don't know how they lost the deep ball with that talent. Mahomes is still probably one of the best quarterbacks throwing the deep ball, talent on paper. So the scheme. For me, I think the enemy will, because Andy will still be calling plays, but I think the enemy as a coordinator is better than Nagy. You know what I mean? So that'll be interesting. Speaking of Nagy, Harbaugh hiring him as the OC, I don't know how I feel about. I mean, as Eagles fans, me and Jacob should be excited about that.
Great,
yeah, we're great right now because Nagy has been bad at actually calling plays. So, as a Giants fan, they should be disappointed with the hire of Nagy. So that's
you just saw when Bieniemy left and then Nagy got placed in Kansas City. You were like, how is this possible when you have Mahomes and Kelsey out there? How are you able to, even then they're like, well, what about the receiving room? Like Xavier Worthy's pretty decent. Hollywood Brown's pretty decent. I mean, it's not like the receiving room was like that bare bones. So it's just more like, how do you mess that up? And then he goes to the Giants. And if I'm a Giants fan, I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that. Because I'm friends with a few Giants fans. They were hoping that Greg Roman wouldn't get hired on, and I guess they got a better version of him, but not that much better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just gonna say. It seems like the Giants, Jets, and Cardinals are trying to out terrible hire each other at this point with their offenses. It's kind of crazy. I don't know how some of these guys keep getting NFL jobs at that level, but they do.
I'll defend Frank Reich. He actually did a decent job with the Stanford, interim position this year. I know Stanford still wasn't that great in the college ranks, and I know it's college football, but Frank Reich was the architect of that 2017-2018 Eagles team. He was the architect of that offensive lug with Doug Peterson. So I think Frank Reich, is he a great hire in 26? I don't know about that. I agree with you there, Chris. But at the same time, I will defend Frank Reich a little bit in that regard where he was, Stanford was better than what they expected them to be. So
Well, they didn't have a fantastic roster either. So you
Yeah.
know, but they still played competitive. That was all that mattered.
Right. The other moves were like, Nate Hackett to the Cardinals, Gus Bradley to the Titans. Like, speaking of like bad moves, I don't know.
that
But
was just solid hiring someone continuity wise. I think.
yeah. But like, I don't want to speak on my Ravens, but getting Anthony Weaver back after John Harbaugh passed up on elevating him instead of Zach Orr, that's pretty good because when they had him in 2024, like that defense like was cooking. So
yeah. And then
not
just to speak on one more hire, talking about Raheem Morris going to the Niners, I think that's a pretty good hire. I think Morris, even though everybody's going to clown on him for what he did in Atlanta, I think when you see it, the way Atlanta's defense has improved over the last few seasons, even with Raheem there, he's a great guy, defensive sort of guy. And I think he's definitely better suited as a coordinator than a head coach. So I think that'll work out in San Francisco, especially with the defense they have. I mean, they had so many injuries this year. I think when you get Bosa back, when you get Warner back and all those guys, I think they'll be a much improved defense, especially with him coaching.
Right. The other few topics I want to cover, the Rooney Rule, whatever that means at this point, I don't think there was I think Salah was the only minority hire in this cycle. And then this was based on Roger Goodell's interview or press conference like a few days ago with the NFL media. And then, obviously he's going to say he loves the refs, even though, they've I guess in terms of other sports, like how do you compare NFL to like NBA refs or, NHL or, other sports or MLB?
Let's see. Here's how I would rank it in my head. NHL, I don't watch that much of the NHL, but I've heard their refs are, pretty good. So I rank them at the top. Then you got slightly the NBA above MLB or above NFL. MLB is at the bottom. Their umpires have been bad over the years. Like you can have a meme of Angel Hernandez just left and it's
yeah.
So it's just
I agree on that. I agree on those rankings. Yeah.
Because that's the thing. It's just for me. It's just one of those situations for me. I'm trying to get in the NHL more, but at the same time, I think for me, as I'm watching the NHL refs, they know what they're doing. They know how to get the reviews right most of the time. The NBA has those latent, 2 minute, reports.
Yeah. They got those 2 minute reports, but even then, like it depends on the crew that's out on the court. Usually, if you have what's his name, Scott Foster out there, it's gonna be a mess.
Yeah.
If it ain't, but mostly from what I've seen, definitely MLB refs are the worst because the umpires, they just don't know what they're doing. And then so pretty much I agree on your ranking. It would definitely be hockey would be first. They seem pretty fair in what they do. Second would be NBA, third NFL, fourth MLB.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense based on like my reviewing on the other sports and things like that. Just some retirement watch news stuff. We don't really. I think Aaron Rodgers will likely go back to Pittsburgh now. But you never know. And then I thought they said before the playoff game Stafford was definitely coming back. And then there was like another thing like, he might retire because of where the Rams are picking in the draft. Maybe that's kind of changing. Like if he made it to the Super Bowl, maybe he would have definitely come back. That's kind of interesting take. But going back to Goodell's thing from last week, Shane, he's saying that they're not going to add another game to the schedule with 19 games. But I mean, do you think they will because of the money?
Eventually, but
Okay.
see, the thing is, like, it's tough because you're picking between another week of football, which is loads of money, versus the hell of figuring out how to get all the teams their bye week. I don't know how you do it evenly. I didn't know how they added the 18th week and they figured it out, but
Yeah, but even then,
I just feel like there are other ways.
But even then, their
Yeah.
bye week situation is still kind of a mess because they spread it out so far in between, or maybe some teams I've seen it's like you get a bye week, 2 games, and then another bye. You're just like, well, what was that for? So it's still kind of a mess. I don't know if they should go the route of adding extra game because the 18-week one was sort of a mess at first, and now we're used to it. So maybe like let it go for a couple more seasons and then see, maybe test the waters on it for a season or 2.
Yeah, definitely agree on that.
I mean, yeah. The other thing I would say about that too is a quick fix would be you start the buys after week 5 instead of week 4.
Yeah.
But if I look at the numbers, I'm pretty sure like the injury, like the amount of injuries that the NFL sustained has been pretty high. I think they should let that number, see if that number can decrease before. I mean, we had Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Like, how many teams got decimated by injury this year? So I think it's lower because it's giving them another game. It's like another chance for everyone to injure their whatever. So I feel like they want that number to lower, and then they can talk about another game.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. And then the other thing was, Max Crosby. Apparently, he's like done with the Raiders. This isn't like the first time like his potential rumors of him wanting to leave and getting traded has happened. So if I'm Eric DeCosta of the Ravens, I would just say pick up the phone and I don't care what they send. Just send whatever to get that type of guy on the team. But yeah, like Chris, what are other teams that might be interested in an all-star pass rusher?
I mean, obviously, any team would be happy to have him.
Yeah, at that point.
And I did hear some weird chatter in the Boston area about potentially New England looking for him, which would be interesting for sure, and would certainly fit their timeline fairly well. But I think a sleeper team that could really use somebody like him would be the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, they're constantly looking for a pass rush, and they got more of it this year. They definitely got more of it this year, no question. But adding somebody like him to that defense that's already pretty solid and had been making strides in a division that, quite frankly, is completely up for grabs. You know what I mean? It feels like that's the type of team where he could go and make the most immediate impact to get a team right to the playoffs. So I'd look at a team like Atlanta would be a great fit, I think, for him. Yeah. But part of it comes down to what the cost is and whether they're willing to pay it, too, it's certainly going to cost, I would assume, quite a lot. I mean, the Raiders aren't always known for making the best decision, but you would think they would be asking for a heck of a lot, if nothing else. So we'll see.
Yeah, like if they didn't get the first pick, like it might have been easier to maybe try to get him via trade, but now it's like they have the top pick, so it's basically just asking for more draft capital.
Nothing can save the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Stefanski wasn't a bad hire, but it's more just like the talent they have. And being consistent with it. The last thing before we move off to the honors is, Jacob and Chris and Shane. We didn't really get your takes on like because last week we covered that they're going back to, I think, Mexico and Germany, Brazil, like they're doing those games, but then they're adding now,
Okay.
and then now they're adding Paris and Australia for next year. Like, how do you think that's gonna shake down?
I think it'll be fine. I think obviously the NFL is doing this because they're already getting good numbers on all their international stuff, so obviously they're going to add more to it. I think for me, it'll depend on the teams that are involved in those games because nobody wants to watch the Browns.
I can tell you the Australia game is Niners-Rams.
Niners-Rams? Okay,
Yeah,
that'll be a good one. That'll be a
That's
good
the
one.
Australia game this
Yeah,
year.
yeah. But like the Paris one, but most of the time it's like teams that are just not that good. So you're just like, well, is anybody going to really get up at 6 a.m. to watch this? I mean, obviously it'll be cool for the international fans, but for NFL fans here in America, it's just like, But I understand why they're doing it, and go right ahead. Why not?
Before Chris or Shane go, I would add this tidbit too, Andrew. The NFL 11 minutes ago announced the Cowboys will be one of the teams in Rio this year in Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paris has the same. So I guess that's one of the not. I mean, they were a fun watch at the end of the year. Never know.
Well, the thing with the international game too is, I mean, obviously the number one reason they're doing it is money. It's all about money with the NFL, of course. They're gonna bleed every possible nickel they can out of anything. Even the good teams that have played in international games, the games haven't been that great. And I mean, part of that is the travel. Part of it is different. I mean, this is obviously different sport in baseball, but when baseball went overseas to the UK or whatever, I remember the Red Sox and Yankees playing, and it was like 23-20 every game because like the whole everything, the field was different, the atmosphere was different. It was, and I think similar things happen with football. Obviously, not with like bounces that like a baseball has, but just in general, I think it's just sloppier gameplay, even for the good teams, let alone when they're throwing out bad teams out there, and we're stuck watching like the Browns versus whoever, the Cardinals or something. So I don't think. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not about quality for them either, because in their mind, they're going to sell out that stadium no matter what team they throw out there because it's a novelty for those fans, so they're going to go no matter who it is. And the better teams outside of obviously the Niners, Rams is a pretty interesting one, but that's also arguably relatively close to their, I guess, I don't know, Australia's not that close, but I guess within the somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the matchup was probably the best
for
this year's game with the Rams having the home game. It's probably the best. I get where you're going with that. Probably the Eagles will probably be a target for the Aussie game within the next few years because Mailata, as long as Mailata's on the team, they'll probably capitalize on that. Yeah. They already sent them to Brazil the Super Bowl season, so Eagles will probably be one of the teams that be in Aussie within the next couple of years. You can probably book it.
Yeah, but by and large, a good team.
I would also say that,
level, so, in my opinion.
Go ahead, Shane.
I was going to say, I hope that they change actually the timing. Yeah, I hope they change the timing just because I know it's especially hard for people on the West Coast to get up for that 6 o'clock game, and it's like if you're already not going to make it if it's not Chiefs Eagles or something of that caliber, the NFL is losing eyes on a potential moneymaker, and if they're going to Australia, they have a different time zone. So, I'm not sure if they're going to give them a super night game or whatever. But, if they're going to do that, I don't understand why they can't make it just, fit a little bit. And there's no rule that says the game has to be done before your 1 o'clock or afternoon slate of games start.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. I feel like most of us have NFL ticket and we just click over anyways. And even if you're watching your local market game, you're following who's doing good for fantasy betting or just like general, like you want to know, you're clicking to as many channels as possible. So I would like to see them play with that if they can.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. But yeah, speaking of like timing, we got the NFL honor tonight. I think at this point, it's kind of surprising because so usually they have like a top 5 for players, like the candidates usually. I thought it was usually 3. They do a top 3, but I guess they do top 5. But yeah, it's at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. And for MVP we have Stafford, Drake May, and then Josh Allen. But I don't know about that part. McCaffrey, and then Trevor Lawrence actually snuck in there at the 5th guy. But that kind of makes sense. Anyone have like any hot takes on MVP? Mine's pretty general, to say the least.
I want to hear your take first before I go, Andrew.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, all right, or Shane.
No, Andrew first.
Okay, all right, Andrew. Let's hear it.
All right. So I think that Drake May should be the MVP because, like, I just can't get like the 1-yard fade goal line, like, just give me touchdown. It's almost like the tush push, but I would say like at least with the tush push, there's like a chance that, like it's like very obvious. Like even as successful as it is, it's very obvious. But like the 1-yard Devontae Adams fade, goal line fade, it's like I don't know. It's hard to predict. Like I don't know. Like some of those touchdowns should have been, like not should have been, but like in a normal circumstance, like that ball's going to the running back, like 9 out of the 10 times.
So you think Stafford kind of padded his stats a little bit?
Yeah.
A little bit. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he had a good year. Like don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
Yeah, see,
my
take was
a scalding hot take, but I think it's a decently take. Yeah, decent hot take.
Go ahead, Shane. I think
go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, no, just real quick. I was going to say I think it should go to Stafford over May. Just if you look at like performance. But like first of all, I'm not saying May had a bad season. He's in the Super Bowl. He did unbelievable. But I mean, if you compare like regular season, Stafford had 46 touchdowns to 8 interceptions.
Yeah.
If you Google like how many quarterbacks have that TD to INT ratio, it's a small grouping, right? And I mean, again, if you look at Drake May's stats, it's not like too far behind. He's 31 touchdowns to 8 interceptions in the regular season. His postseason stats kind of dropped, but just in general, like if you look at like Drake May won a lot of games where like he either had like 100 or 90 yards in the game, whereas like Stafford, like the big Rams games, like it was him plus Puka, Devontae, Kyron Williams, and I don't often quote Tom Brady. That's a lie, I do, but I kind of agree with what he said. Like Drake May will have a lot of opportunities left in his career. I wouldn't say that would abstain him from this season if he had an unbelievable season, but like I'm hoping Stafford gets acknowledged for what he's done at 37.
Well, just to add on to the Stafford one, he also played in a tougher division and a way tougher schedule. Not saying May played cupcakes all season long. He played some pretty solid teams, but at the same time, Stafford played in a division where there were 2 other teams vying for the first seed alongside the Rams, and obviously Seattle eventually got it. But I mean, how can you stack that up against May, who's in a division that has the Dolphins, who are rebuilding, the Jets who are rebuilding, the Bills who are good, but they're okay. I mean, they're okay. And then there's the Patriots, obviously. So I think scheduling and the strength of schedule for each player should play a factor as well.
Well, I think on that, I'm for May getting it. I mean, obviously, I'm a Patriot, but even if I wasn't, I actually think he earned it for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think when you look at the side-by-side stats, one thing that constantly gets overlooked is what May has done with his legs this season. You add in those stats, and all of a sudden, him and Stafford are very, very comparable numerically. Number one, I agree that the schedule obviously was far easier for the Patriots, but I'd also say that the Patriots' offense was far less loaded than the Rams' offense was.
Yeah.
Stafford had way more weapons to throw to, and you know, I mean, so how much does that get factored in? I mean, I think at the end of the day, the way I see MVP is who's most valuable to their team. And to me, Drake May was more valuable to the Patriots offense and keeping those chains moving and doing what they did this year than Stafford was to his. Not saying that what Stafford did wasn't incredible, but I feel like it would be more easily replicable by other quarterbacks than what Drake May did, only because of the other weapons that Stafford had around him. I mean, not saying that May doesn't have any weapons, you know, but Stephon Diggs, you know, obviously has been a key piece for them. But I mean, you can't compare Steph Diggs to the weapons that to Puka and
He's no Puka Nacua.
The drop off from Diggs to Booty and you know Hunter Henry is pretty dramatic, you know, and so I just that's why I have May as the MVP there, especially when if you look at the times they needed big plays out of May, I mean he made it happen, and not just with throws, although he could thread the needle pretty well, but with his feet too. And so he's the full package in that regard. So that's why I give it to him. Give him the slight edge. But you can't go wrong with either of them, truthfully. They both deserve it. So
I mean, all these guys said all that needed to be said with the MVP argument because at the same time, like my point is why I would give it to May is the bad game Stafford had in second halves against the Philadelphia game in week 3. I can look at the Panthers game as a whole. That was a bad game. The Falcons game late in the year, that was another bad performance from Stafford. More bad performances for Stafford than Drake May, for me, equals May MVP. Now, granted, Matthew Stafford was phenomenal this season, like throwing the football. The Rams offense was phenomenal for the most part until they ran into a Seattle defense and, you know, the last 2 times they played. So for me, I think, you know, Matthew Stafford does deserve it, but I think those bad performances late in the year, like especially the 2 later in the year, I think those are the ones for me. This don't give him the award for me.
Right. I think the defensive player of the year is not really a discussion. You know, I'll just name the candidates: Myles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson, Micah Parsons, Nick Bonito, Will Anderson. It's Myles Garrett.
That's Myles Garrett's award.
Well,
I mean, I'll shout out
Myles Garrett and 4 other losers.
Well, I'll shout out Hutch because I think he wins comeback player of the year.
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah,
I'll shout out Hutch. Hutch should get some consideration, but Myles Garrett broke the sack record. Like, if you do that in a year, you're winning that award.
Yeah, I think the discussion for us should be more offensive player of the year. I think that's a more interesting one.
But before we get to that, let me just do comeback player of the year real quick, just to candidates. So it's Diggs, Hutch, McCaffrey. But I think McCaffrey could get offensive player of the year. Dak, and then Trevor Lawrence is in comeback player of the year. I'm not. What is he coming back from exactly?
Overcoming bad performance like Darnold.
Being bad.
Just being bad. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think for comeback player of the year, it'll probably be Aiden Hutchinson, just because I think McCaffrey will more than likely win offensive player of the year. So they'll you don't want to give 2 awards to one player. So you're just like, okay, we'll give that guy, a consummate award. So I think, and then Hutchinson, he had a great season. He had a really bad injury last year. You didn't know that, could have ended his career. He came back, played his best ball of his career, so he'll win it.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, Stafford isn't really mentioned in the offensive player, but Drake May is. So I don't know what they're doing there, but the other candidates are
because of what Chris said, because of his legs, man. He's a dual threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you got Puka, Bijan, JSN, McCaffrey, but yeah, I think McCaffrey probably gets this award just because of just his impact on on the team itself. But going to offensive rookie, you got Jackson Dart, Emeka Egbuka, who kind of had an amazing first half of the season and then fell off. Trayvon Henderson, I don't think he's close anymore.
No. If he had started earlier in the year, maybe, but no.
Ted McMillan, who had a good year, and then Tyler Shuck. Who do you guys vote for offensive rookie?
If we did an early year, I think it would have been Ibuka. Hands down, it would have been Emeka Ibuka. But this one's the tough one because you could give it to Ibuka, you can give it to Dart, but I'm gonna go with McMillan.
Yeah,
I think McMillan was consistent throughout the year, and his team made the playoffs. I know it's not based on who made the playoffs, but at the same time, I think Teteroa is the guy that was consistent throughout the year and had the biggest boom as a rookie in this league as on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm gonna go with Teteroa and McMillan.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with T-Mac too, just because his body of work is so much more consistent than the other guys. I mean, Show had a great end to the year, but I mean, do you really want to take the last 4 games and give it to a guy who excelled in the last 4 games? And then Egbuka was the complete opposite, where he had a great first 4 games and then kind of just fell off. So I think definitely T-Mac because of his who's the other one? Trevion Henderson. Well, he didn't start until midway through the year.
And then you got Jackson Dart.
I don't know why he didn't start until halfway through the year. I guess Vrabel didn't like him at first. And then Dart, obviously he didn't start until I think third game. I think it was after the Cowboy game.
Yeah.
And then he started, and then obviously he was on and off because he was concussed all the time. So I think obviously if Dart had started and he'd stayed healthy, he probably would have gotten it because he's great. Maybe even Scadaboo if he had, still.
Yeah, that was probably he was on track too.
Yeah, I think Scadaboo probably would have won if he was healthy. But I'll definitely give it to T-Mac, even though I'm a little biased as an Arizona fan.
Yeah, I agree with T-Mac.
Yeah, I feel like
one of the things that stands out to me about the rookies this year is how mediocre the class was. I mean, truthfully, the fact that, and listen, again, I'm a Patriots fan. I love Trevion Henderson. I think he's a fantastic and explosive player. But the fact he's even in this discussion tells you all you know about the offensive rookies this year. Not that he was bad. He was electric for the time that he got to play. And, people talk about why didn't he play, but you forget that Ramondre Stevenson is no slouch at running back either. And that, really, they have a two-headed beast there if Vrabel wants to go that route with it. But the fact is, I don't remember a year where the offensive rookies were this underwhelming to me. Like you said, Tyler Slaw was great at the end, but 5 games is enough to be in the conversation?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It just seemed it very much underwhelmed me this year. So
I agree.
Yeah, just piggybacking off of that point. Oh no, I was just gonna say, not only is the class mediocre, but think about all of the rookies that we thought were going to be in the discussion. Nowhere near. Ashton Genty, no. RJ Harvey, no. Not even. You could argue Travis Hunter. I guess he plays both sides, but
he got hurt.
He got hurt.
Award, that's true. That's true. To be fair, but I think if you give it to Dart, it's like there's too much what ifs. If Neighbors stays healthy, and he has Scadaboo to help him move the chains, I'm sure he's probably more in the discussion, but he didn't have those things. Therefore, I would give it to Tetaroa McMillan. I kind of would. I would have liked to have seen more from Mbuka. I know he's competing for touches with like Chris Godwin and
Mike Evans,
Mike Evans. Like it's not even. Yeah, exactly. But like I still would have liked to have seen more. It was a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde season for him.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I would go McMillan.
Right. Shane, you can tee us off on this one. Defensive rookie of the year.
Mhm.
We have Abdul Carter, James Pierce from the Falcons, Schlesinger from the Browns, and Xavier Watts from the Falcons. And then obviously my pick, Nicky Memorial, playing tomorrow. I mean, he got hurt. I mean, he's definitely going to play. Like,
He's gonna play.
yeah, he's going to play. But yeah, I would also agree with you guys about T-Mac. Like, he also started from day one, and he was like, he beat out Leggett, who was another former first-round pick, and all those other guys. So, yeah, Shane, who do you have for defensive rookie?
I would pick one of the Falcons guys. Just
Okay.
because I don't think that any of us expected the Falcons defense, specifically their pass rush, to be that good. It got to a point like late in the season where like if you were playing fantasy and you had a matchup against the Falcons, it was like, well, don't play it because they're going to shut down whoever quarterback they're up against. So I would say pick one of those guys. Those are my take.
Yeah. Speaking of very mediocre classes, I mean, you flip it over to defensive rookie of the year, and you're just like, Abdul Carter's on there. Like, did you guys follow the Giants this year? Did you see what happened? So I mean, I would say definitely the popular pick, and obviously my pick would be Nick Emanawari. I think he provided a lot of great value to the Seahawks defense, even though they already have a great defense. I mean, you got Ernst Jones, Witherspoon, and then DeMarcus Lawrence and that whole D line. I mean, but he's still, I think was he a safety?
Yeah.
He
51.
plays a nickel.
Yeah.
He plays nickel. So
He plays nickel, yeah. So I mean, he provided a lot. He was a great safety valve. He was a great in the middle part of the field where Ernst Jones was. He plugged at that part of the field. So I would say he's my pick.
Chris, I'm gonna let you go before I go.
Okay. I don't have much to add. That to my pick would be also. So I don't have too much analysis to add there. I just think that I think that one of the things that the Seahawks did so well this year, was their defense, and I think he was a major part of that because he allowed for in a division where there was some pretty electric wide receivers. I think he really helped shut that down in some of the most important games that they needed it to, and so I would go there as well.
Yeah.
So my analysis would let me start with this. If Nakobe Dean didn't come back and was like Nakobe Dean, like he was really like Nakobe Dean was good, Jihad Campbell would have probably won the defensive rookie of the year award because he was balling to start the year. He was all over the field for the Eagles defense. But his snap count went dramatically down when Nakobe came back and actually earned that spot back. So that being said, I'm going to go with Nick Emanawari as well. I like the Falcons guys thought Shane because they were really like, especially Watts. Watts was probably one of the best safeties in the league this year in general, not just rookies. But at the same time, like the impact that Emanawari did to that Seattle defense year one is just astronomical. Like it's just crazy how they can play with all five defensive backs at all times.
Yeah.
No matter if they're in 12 personnel or 11 personnel, it didn't matter. So
Right.
And I think I was just going to say really quickly, the thing about Seattle that we forget too is for all that they had a solid defense, nobody really expected them to do what they did this year. It wasn't supposed to. They were supposed to have a couple years of a bit of rebuilding, and they didn't have that, which is a testimony to them. but also, they weren't necessarily expected to be the defense that they ended up being, and so that's credit to the addition they made there as well. So
Right. Getting on to AP Coach of the Year and AP Assistant Coach of the Year. We got the for Coach of the Year, Liam. A lot of first timers, kind of, other than Mike Vrabel, Kyle Shanahan. They're kind of known for being on this list usually. But Mike McDonald playing the Super Bowl, and then Ben Johnson and Liam Cohen. And then real quick, I'll just cover Assistant Coach of the Year. We have Vic Fangio, which is kind of surprising to me because I thought the Eagles defense kind of dropped off a little bit compared to last year, like the year before. Brian Flores, Vance Joseph from Denver, and then Seattle with Clint Kubiak, and then Josh McDaniels with the Patriots. Who are your? I guess first off, for AP Coach of the Year, who would you pick? Chris, you can go first.
I just don't see how it's anybody other than Vrabel. I get it. There was some. Obviously, all the coaches there did very well, but to take a team that went back-to-back 4-13 and flip that and bring them to the Super Bowl, I just don't see how you can't give the nod to him for that. That from literal worst to, not just first in the division, but first in the conference, essentially. I don't think you can top that. So that's I think that's an easy one. And I think Seattle deserves credit too, which is why I would go with Kubiak as the assistant, because I think they need to get credit for what they did too. But I think it would go to Kubiak there. So that's my opinion.
And then for me, I would agree with Chris. I think it will definitely be Vrabel. I think I did an article on the top 5 coaches of the year candidates, and I think Vrabel was at the top of my list too. So, you look at the Patriots last year; they looked dead in the water, like they were just a franchise that was just going backwards. And then Vrabel comes in, and then May looks fantastic with him there in tow. Obviously, Josh McDaniels helps in that regard too. But I think just that. And then where they were able to go in terms of obviously going to the Super Bowl. So I think he'll definitely get it. Even though I think it'll probably be a close vote. I think Mike McDonald will be a very close second there. But it would definitely go to Vrabel. And then for assistant coach, I would definitely say Kubiak, because that offense for Seattle has just improved so much. Obviously, getting Sam Darnold helped in that regard, but at the same time, the development of JSN to actually top level receiver, one of the best receivers in the game right now. So I think in that regard, and then obviously the run game has much improved too. So I think he'll definitely snag that.
Can I just quickly say how funny it is that 10 years ago, could any of us have predicted that? Oh, you had Sam Darnold, so clearly that's an improvement there that helps the team. I just find that funny in and of itself. But
yeah,
I want to say for Coach of the Year, it's Vrabel easily. Yeah. It's not a con. Mike McDonald probably be a close, a good, second place. But I think Vrabel, with the expectations that the Patriots had, heading into the season and doing what he's done with that team in year one, that's Coach of the Year worthy. I will argue for Vic Fangio a little bit here because I will. Well, I'm not trying to be biased when I say this. That Eagles defense from week 1 until about week 17, was probably one of the top units in the league.
Okay.
I would say, the momentum was lost after, when they rested their starter.
Well, I think the reason people thought our defense didn't improve is because, look at how they collapsed in the fourth quarter. Yeah, because they were on the field for the entire second half because we literally could not do anything on offense. I think in that regard. Yeah. So obviously,
that's the thing, and a lot of the Eagles' wins were because of Vic Fangio's defense.
Okay.
A lot of the Eagles' wins were because of that defense. But it is going to go to Kubiak. I wasn't going to pick Fangio, but I was going to argue for why
Okay.
He was considered for the
Yeah.
You're
award.
going to give his case, but obviously it's not going to win.
And it's not gonna win. It's Kubiak by a mile in this in the East system. So
Yeah.
that's
All
just
right.
my 2 cents.
So for me, this might surprise people, but I'm gonna pick Mike Vrabel as my coach of the year nomination. But actually, the guy I was thinking though for assistant, I was thinking of Vance Joseph, just
Oh,
because
that's
I
a
feel
good
like
I like that.
That's a
pick,
good
though.
one too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if Kubiak wins it, could it be more deserving? But I'm just thinking like Denver won a lot more games on defense than Seattle had. I think. But like I say that and then I think of like, they play San Francisco at the end of the season and it's a 13-3 game, so it's not even like Kubiak's a back pick, but I just think that Denver unit was very special. You could argue that Vance Joseph had more tools with Patrick Surtain and Benito and those guys, but I just really like what he did with that unit this year.
Yeah, like the coach of the year, like I think this year was like for what like the lacking of rookies this year, like it basically made up for it in coaches, but it sucks like Liam Cohen and Ben Johnson, the playoff stuff, it kind of didn't work out, but I mean turning like on their first year, like I hope they can do it again next year because that was really fun to watch. They deserve some credit, but we'll see about that. Moving on to the Super Bowl. Brandon, you want to get saved for last, or you want to go right now?
Well, I'll save mine for last. I'll let
Okay.
the two that haven't talked about the matchup go because I'm just going to say my pick and we're going to go on to the next thing. So
I'll go first. I think it'll be Seattle, and I think it'll be relatively closer than what people think. I think it'll be like at least 27-17. I think it'll at least be a 10-point win. And I think for me, I think the game will come down to because both of these teams are relatively young. Like they are like Seattle, even though they seem experienced, they are not. They are a very young team, and I think for both teams, and then I think I saw a stat earlier. It was like for Seattle, if they don't score first in the game, that's where they got their 3 losses from.
Okay.
And then so it'll come. I think it comes down to who scores first. Honestly, like I think if Seattle goes up like 7-0 or even 10-0, I think they'll win. And then vice versa, if New England goes up 10-0, I think they'll win. So I think that's where it will come down to. And obviously, matchup wise, it will have to be if Drake May is able to get going with his legs, because I don't think he'll have a whole lot of time to throw. I think if he's able to get out in space and open up that defense a little bit more with his legs, I think that'll definitely play to the Patriots' favor. And then for Seattle, you just gotta have that run game churning, man. You gotta make sure you get the ball, you hold it for at least 7 minutes, and you're running clock just rushing and rushing and rushing. So I think Seattle wins relatively close.
Yeah, Chris, do you want to make your pick?
Absolutely. I think everything in this game points to a Seattle win, which is why I'm picking the Patriots. To win this game 21-17. And here's the reason why. I think that the Patriots have faced some of the best defenses in the league already, and the offensive line hasn't exactly done great, but it's survived, so I don't think this is going to be a shock to them. It's going to be a struggle because they struggled against Houston. They struggled against Denver, part of the struggle against Denver was also the weather conditions.
The blizzard.
And we basically won thanks to a blizzard. But I would say that just in general, that the offense has been tested enough against good, and even the Chargers are a very good defense. They've been tested enough against good defenses where I think May will be okay. And I'm not completely sold that Darnold's had to face the same level of defenses. And I think the biggest underrated aspect of the Patriots is their defense,
Yeah.
especially what their pass rush has done in the playoffs. And I think that Sam Darnold, I'm not fully sold that he's not going to turn into a pumpkin. And I think if that defense can rattle him, he's going to turn into a pumpkin. And that's why I have the Patriots winning 21-17 after they stuff Kenneth Walker at the 5-yard line.
Oh, man.
3-yard line.
No Malcolm Butler interception type thing.
Oh, no, we're going to go the other way. We're going to go the other way and stuff them this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with my pick, I am going with the Seahawks. 17-14. It's going to be another low scoring game like I predicted. I wished I got the score right. I had the margin right with that Denver Patriots game. I had the margin right, the 3 points. You can look back on the podcast. I said 20-17 New England. But it was 10-7. So, but I'm going with another 3-point game. I'm going with Seattle. The Emmanuel injury was one of those situations where made me hesitate a little bit because it has his impact on the Seattle defense. But it looks like he's going to play. They were optimistic. How limited is he going to be? That's the question. But I think he'll still make an impact in this game. Yeah. And Ernest Jones I think sneaky Super Bowl MVP is Ernest Jones for me. Another Malcolm Smith situation for Seattle.
Yeah. I said my pick last week, and I'm just going to stick by it. 19-17 Seattle. But I think we all agree it's going to be close regardless. I don't think there's going to be any blowout situation. Shane, anything to add? I know you picked the Patriots, I'm pretty sure, last week. No,
I actually picked the Seahawks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I have to root for the Patriots because of where I'm from. But no, I think Seattle's going to win 24-20. I stand by what I said. I think third down is going to be important. I don't see either running back having like that big of an impact. So it's just going to be like who can convert third down more. The one thing I would add is I was thinking about this the other day because we were talking about, I think last week, how they're going to use Jackson Smith, which they will use him. But I could see Darnold dialing up like a big one to Rashid Shaheed, like a bomb, just because he won't be covered by Christian Gonzalez. So, 24-20.
Okay. Yeah. I'm hoping we get a close Super Bowl. But
me too.
Yeah. What is it? There could be a reverse jinx situation where everyone thinks it'll be close and it's gonna just be a high scoring game. If it's a high scoring game and it's close, then actually that might be better. But
that gives more highlights. Yeah.
Guess what? We said what did we say last year, Andrew? Yeah. What did we say last year? What that Super Bowl was? Did we? I think we said it was supposed to be close, and then the Eagles would blow them out, right? I think we did say that on these podcasts last year. so the jinx might happen.
Yeah. At my other work today, they did a poll. I think the Patriots won the poll like 6-3 actually, but I don't know. I think I don't know if people were watching Seattle this year because they were pretty good. But like Jacob said, like if obviously whoever converts the most third downs and who gets the score first, that's going to be
give them an advantage. Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you wanted me to talk. I was waiting for you.
No, it's fine. Jacob, you had like final thoughts on the Super Bowl, real quick.
No. I was just reinforcing what you were saying.
Yeah. Anyway, we got a lot of NBA trades last night. I mean, one of them just didn't happen with the whole Giannis thing. And Shane, I don't know what your guys' thoughts on that situation.
Well,
Brandon.
let me say this. Let me start because I did make a prediction that Giannis was definitely going to be traded on the Tuesday podcast. And so I did make that prediction on the Tuesday podcast. So I yeah, that didn't happen. But the Giannis, I think Milwaukee is going to try to build a roster around Antetokounmpo this summer, and that is viable. Maybe, or he gets traded in New York in the summer. Those are the two options at this.
Well, how many years does he have left on his deal? I think he's a free agent.
2 years. Right? I think 2 years left. I'm
2 years. Oh, okay. Well,
I think he's if he plays with Milwaukee and stays, I think they said today he's eligible for a 4-year, $270 million extension or something like that. So that's the interesting part. The move that interested me the most is the Hornets getting Kobe White. I think that is a move that gives them depth and more depth at the point guard spot. If LaMelo goes down with an injury, and it gives them a guy that can be like LaMelo off the bench if they need him. Another move the move I would question the most was Washington going after AD.
Yeah,
but as a Wizards fan, I question it too.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The AD move was one of those moves. I don't know what they were thinking. This
to drive up ticket sales. That's what it is.
maybe, but the injuries. The injuries most likely are going to happen with Trae Young and Anthony Davis.
Yeah, but it's all about building hype. Get the season ticket holders to be like, "Oh yeah, I got to buy that again." Yeah. That's what it really is about.
Well, and
the thing with AD,
they're probably a playoff team with them. Right, they're probably a bubble team. I mean, it's the East. It's not exactly like this dynamic competition there. You know what I mean? But I think the biggest failure for that was that you look at what the Detroit Pistons did. They're at the top of the league because they stuck with their rebuild. Yeah. Failing be damned, losses be damned. Mm-hmm. They stuck with their rebuild. And it feels like Washington was on their way to doing that. And then we're just like, actually, no, we want to be a bubble team again.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense to me. It just, it feels like, they gave up halfway through. And I hate when teams do that. Either go all in or one way or the other. Stop riding the middle because
we've been in the bubble for at least a few years now, and then the last 2 years we've been committed to the rebuild the last 2 years, and I'm like, okay, there's something there, and then for some reason we're just like, oh, we need to get Trae Young and Anthony Davis. I'm like, why? Why? Our core is pretty good. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I was weirded out by that trade as well. Like, it sounds to me like the Wizards got together and they were like, okay, guys, how can we make sure we make 10th place in the East? And they were like, Anthony Davis, pair him with Trae Young. Yeah. And I feel bad for Alex Sarr, kind of, because that's less development for him.
I don't know if it's too bad of
I don't know if they're going to have Davis play the 4 and Alex Sarr play the 5, but I wouldn't want to take minutes from him.
I had to cut you off, but I don't know if it'll be too bad because Davis could go to the 4 and Sarr could stay at the 5. So, I mean, it's not too bad for his development, I think, because, you get paired with a veteran point guard and Trae Young who knows how to do pick and rolls with big guys. He knows how to really he built a great connection with big men. He knows how to do that. Mm-hmm. And then Anthony Davis, they're both Sarr and Davis are pretty good defenders. Obviously, Davis is a health concern, so we don't know if having them in the front, if he'll be able to be there in the front court with Sarr for an extended period of time. But I think in terms of development for Sarr, I think he'll be fine on that.
Well, here's the thing too: the Jazz kept their picks. The Wizards also kept their most of their important picks.
Yeah, we just gave up a lot of players.
They just gave up a lot of trash contracts, a lot of guys that they didn't have. So I think the aspect of that side of the trade, of the rebuild aspect that y'all were going into, stopping the rebuild halfway, I think the rebuild aspect, with the future, is still kind of there for Washington.
I mean, we kind of have an out if things don't work, if it doesn't pan out. But at the same time, it's just like, do we need to pull the trigger that fast on it, guys? I mean, we could have gave it at least another year.
Yeah, I think the Jazz pulled off the better aspect of that. Pulled the trigger early. They still have the future because they got Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
To pair with Walker Kessler and Lauri Markkanen. That
I think Kessler got traded, didn't he?
No, Kessler's he hurt his ACL.
Okay, yeah.
He was in rumors. I think the Pacers wanted Kessler before they pivoted to Zubac.
Yeah.
So that's what I saw. So they wanted. I think the Pacers wanted Kessler, but I think the Jazz were not willing to move Kessler, and I think they pivoted to Zubac the last minute.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think for me, I think the Jazz. So the Jazz, when they get Kessler, Markkanen, Jackson next year, that's a front court that can be multifaceted, like the Boston Celtics were for the most part when they had Porzingis, Tatum, and Horford for their 24 championship.
Can I bring up a topic real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
I'll ask you guys a question. Y'all can answer it. Who do you think won this trade deadline?
I say Jazz. I'll say the Jazz and Hornets. Those are the two for me that won the deadline.
I say Jazz, and I feel like they're gonna be like. I mean, they're already good with JJJ, but like, I feel like they're gonna either like pick a guard or trade for a guard, and then they're gonna immediately like level up from there.
Yeah,
like they're my favorite team to like be just like out of the playoffs this year into the playoffs next year.
Yeah, okay, for sure. I agree there. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, I think the Jazz probably won. I think in terms of who may have gotten themselves further in a playoff push short term, I think the Cleveland Cavaliers getting Harden, I think, makes a difference there in some of the other moves that they made as well. Yeah. But I think if I'm looking full long term, I think it's got to be the Jazz because I think, they did what Washington was trying to do, but did it a heck of a lot better.
I think if I had to pick, my definite pick would probably be the Celtics getting Vucevic, just because they moved off of so much money because it helps them in their luxury tax. And then also at the same time, they were needing a big man because Al Horford left. And then their center situation was between like what's his name, Luka Garza and some other guy. So now they strengthened their front court, and so you get a guy who can shoot threes. You get a guy who can work out of the post. I don't know. He's definitely Porzingis-like, but he doesn't have the defense as Porzingis, so he has similar skill sets. So I think that'll help them in that department. And then obviously long term, I think it also helps for them. Even though Vucevic is older, they will get Tatum back next year, so they'll definitely be in a much improved team.
I'll say this too: the Warriors finally getting rid of Kuminga for Porzingis. I did not think they could get Porzingis this deadline, but they were able to get Porzingis.
Yeah.
So next, maybe, and they still kept Green. The only way they were going to get rid of Green was the Giannis trade. Yeah, that was the only way. But I think the Warriors. That was an interesting move getting Kristaps. I think to go off the Vucevic point, I think that was the move that helped the playoff push this year over the Harden deal. Just because for me, the Celtics needed a big more than the Cavs needed an upgraded point guard, and I don't think it's that much of an upgraded point guard over what Garland was. So that's where I'm at with that.
I have one last NBA take before we go move on, but what do you guys think of like the OKC trade? Because I don't know, it's kind of interesting. SGA I think hurt. He might be out a few games.
He's out to All-Star break.
Yeah, he's definitely out for All-Star. I think he'll be back after All-Star.
Yeah. I know they got Jared McCain. He looks like a highly touted prospect that just didn't live up to, in Philly.
he kind of took a backseat to Maxey and all those because Maxey really took off and kind of just took his minutes and stuff like that. I think.
Well, that's to say Edgecombe. In fact, the Edgecombe
too, yeah. And then they got
Edgecombe
and then he
Maxey
did
pairing
rotate.
worked a lot better than the McCain Maxey pairing before McCain got hurt.
Yeah, I agree on that. And for the move for OKC, I think it's just more of a depth and a little bit of shooting aspect of it because shooting is definitely their weakness, and teams have been exploiting it a lot recently.
Oh wow.
So
Yes.
so that upgrades them on that end. I don't know if they really needed another guard, but I mean it helps on that to have a little bit more depth and then shooting involved with it. So I think it's definitely a plus for them.
The lineups that they can have now with McCain in a
Yeah.
situation where they need threes, like with Mitchell in there, obviously SGA running the point, and then having McCain maybe go a little bit smaller with 3 guards, and then having Williams and then Holmgren at the center.
Yeah.
That could help them out. But I'll just say this before we go on to the next stuff. I think the McCain, it's more of a Philly getting rid of McCain than the Thunder needing McCain.
Yeah. I agree on that.
Right, that makes sense. So we got a new slide. We got some MLB and NHL news because I saw that, there's some stuff heating up recently. We got spring training coming up within the month, and we have some NHL stuff going on. So out of any of these topics, let's just start. I guess I don't like Scooble. Like I've been editing like MLB stuff, and his name always comes up. He's like a all-star. Like do you think like any of those trade rumors that have been happening, or at least I've seen recently, actually come to fruition?
Okay.
Before we go, with that, he just won his arbitration case, so he's going to make $32 million this year instead of the 19 that the Tigers wanted.
Yeah.
So the trade might be a little harder to do now for Scooble, and I think they just with the I'll tie it in with the Framber Valdez stuff. I think they want to keep Valdez and Scooble in that rotation if they want to compete like they did last year. So go ahead, guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think they definitely want to keep it intact for this season. I don't know if Scooball's going to be there for the future.
Mm-hmm.
So because when you have to go to court just to get to arbitration with a team, I think you're kind of already like, I kind of don't want to be here if we're having to do this. So obviously, he'll be there for this next season. I don't foresee him getting traded unless something really blows up there in Detroit. So,
right.
Yeah, he's not going to get traded, but I do think that Framber Valdez becomes their backup plan for when, and I'm going to say when, Scooble leaves, because I do think he's going to leave. I don't think it's 100% a kiss of death when you go to arbitration, against a team, but when the difference in value was so dramatic, I mean, that's a hard pill to swallow. The Scooble will look and basically say my team thinks I'm half as valuable as I think I am, almost. I mean, that's hard to get over. That was a pretty dramatic. I don't know what's worse, when a team goes to arbitration over like $200,000 or when a team is $13 million.
Yeah.
I don't know which is worse. They're both.
And the fact that the guy that wanted 13 more million won the case too. I mean, it was obvious he was going to win that case the way he was been pitching over the last couple years. Like Scooble was by far the best pitcher in the AL of the last couple of years, and the fact that the Tigers were like, "Oh, let's go to arbitration. I'm going to give you 19 million a year," when he deserved the 32 million easily.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just move on to the next headline. I mean, Chris, I think this makes sense. Like the Red Sox agree on a 1-year deal with Isaiah kind of Khalifa. Yeah, you got any thoughts on that?
No, I think Red Sox Twitter had a meltdown over it. I don't actually think it's as dramatic as they're making it. I don't think he's going to be a starter. I think he's a bench piece for them. I think everybody's thinking he's the starter. But I have a thought that I actually and I think the Red Sox made a weird side comment about one of their veterans had been taking some ground balls at second base and looks really great at it. And my theory for a while has been they're putting Jaron Duran there because he did get drafted as a second baseman, and then they moved him to the outfield. And so it would not shock me to see Duran back at second base and have
Roman Anthony
as like the defensive replacement that can sort of fill in the spot there. You know, I think that's the direction they're going. But I will also say that it's pretty clear that Breslo's made it that he shifted away from offense, sort of gave up on that, and is all about pitching and defense right now and trying to do run prevention instead of run scoring. And we'll see how that works out for them. But
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Shane, do you have any thoughts on these other headlines for MLB, like Eugenio Suarez signed with the Reds, or the Giants signing Luis Perez to $12 million?
I mean, I like that Giants signing. I was actually gonna say, like, I agree with Chris on the thing about Kiner Falefa because, like, I had always thought going back a year that we were gonna have a Rafael Devers replacement. Like, we were gonna sign a big hitter. Yeah. That is not what has transpired. But then you look at the way last year happened, and we did pretty well without one. So signing another guy and like focusing on just pitching and run prevention, it makes a lot of sense for what the Red Sox are like trying to do. Yeah. I might still want another power hitter, but they might be a force regardless.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and especially when you look at the type of pitchers they got too. I mean, you've got Crochet is obviously a strikeout pitcher, but he also gets a lot of ground balls. Sonny Gray is a ground ball specialist. Ranger Suarez gets a lot of ground balls. Graham Bello is a ground ball pitcher. So it makes sense he's trying to build a defense that can, capitalize on that type of pitching as well.
And then to talk about Eugenio Suarez signing with the Reds, I'm surprised he lasted this late in the free agency. I figured somebody would at least have picked him up. Because even though everybody talks about, his batting average isn't that great, I'm just like, well, yeah, he's a power hitter. That's what he does. He's kind of like a Kyle Schwarber. He's just going to hit for pure power. And I think, and he has a decent glove. So I'm really surprised he lasted this long in free agency. And I'm really surprised the Reds of all teams was the one that was going to pick him up. Yep. So I was just more so surprised on that end.
Yeah. And then before we move on to NHL, World Series hero, Detroit Tigers great, Mickey Lolich passed away at age 85. I haven't heard that name before. He was in the 1968 World Series. If you guys are familiar, like have any thoughts on his impact in MLB?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the big NHL news with the Panarin trade to the Kings by the Rangers, and then he signed a 2-year contract. The funny thing was I saw on our site there was like a rumor article first, and then literally the day after he got
we get the trade.
Yeah, that's funny how that works.
Yeah, no, Panarin is one of the biggest big young stars in the NHL right now. So it was one of those like big moves that was anticipated because there was like disputes with him and the Rangers and stuff like that. So that was one of those like things that I was like, okay, this is gonna happen. When's it gonna happen? It's gonna pop off. Whoever wrote it for the site was gonna get some views on it. So. Yeah. I'm happy. Whoever wrote it, I'm happy for them because that was good. The Gavin McKenna stuff, I'll go at this angle. You're a kid about to live your dream, and you're about to get your dream, and you do this. A felony assault kind of you kind of put your dream in jeopardy because of it. And it's just sad to see. It's sad to see for him, and sad to see for his family. And it's sad for Penn State's hockey team too, because they got to deal with this distraction now in the midst of their collegiate season. So, That's where I'm going to go at it there. I mean, I'm sure he's a great player, and I'm sure he was going to probably be one of the top picks in the NHL draft, but now he's probably going to fall, probably maybe undrafted now because of this. So, and maybe be in jail now. Who knows what's going to happen with the case? But
right. And then the Pittsburgh Penguins defenseman Caleb Jones was handed a 20-game suspension due to PEDs. In terms of hockey, how would that, like, how bad of a punishment is that, like, in general, for like compared to
I think hockey is the same as the NBA.
Yeah, because Paul George got the same thing for 25 games, so it was so it's pretty much the same thing. It's a pretty serious offense.
Yeah, because they both run on 82-game seasons, even though hockey ends a little earlier than the NBA because they start earlier than the NBA does.
Yeah.
I think like 2 weeks earlier than the NBA does, but a
week and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. So they start earlier, they end earlier. So in the middle, so he probably won't be back until and now granted with the break too, because the Olympics coming up, the NHL is on the 2-week break because of that. So his suspension might not. It's not really going to start until after the Olympic break. So he won't be back for the Penguins until until playoffs, probably, if they make the playoffs.
Yeah, if they make the playoffs,
Yeah. Before we wrap up, any final thoughts on just general sports news? We talked at length about the Super Bowl, so we probably don't have to cover that again. But we can start. Shane, any final thoughts? Heading into Super Bowl week.
I'm excited for a big game. I honestly think just because it's happening on Sunday, I've been more in the basketball mindset recently. Yeah. I'm really interested to see what happens with Giannis, just because obviously he wants to go to like a championship contender, but I'm not sure if the Heat are that. And when the Warriors went to go get Porzingis, they basically said, well, we're dropping out of this sweepstakes. So there's a debate whether the Knicks should get him or they should just keep their team. So like, and then if you're the organization, I feel like that's from like Giannis' standpoint. If you look at the organization, they may want to keep him around and then just see what happens. Because like in the off season, you'll know more in terms of like where picks are going to fall and who's going to get what, the lottery is going to happen, etc. So like it might make more sense for him to just wait until the summer and see what kind of deal you can get from. Or the other option is you do a very aggressive offseason and you try to get a lot of weapons and just try to convince Giannis like we're built for a championship. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Chris, you want to go
So
next?
I guess I just am excited for just in general Boston sports. I feel like a lot of these teams are in it more than expected. Obviously, we got the Super Bowl Sunday. Nobody expected the Patriots to be there. But the Celtics were sort of given up on after they let go of Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, and Al Horford had to leave, and they were in this financial situation. And they filled the gaps with some lesser known players, and then they had a solid trade deadline here. They're performing better than anyone expected, near the top of the East, and Tatum coming back this year, potentially for a playoff push too. I think they could very well be in the thick of things in the East, and the Bruins outperforming expectations as well, especially after a pretty rough start for them. They've really started to find their footing here. They've had and even the Red Sox, they're being talked about as having one of the best pitching staffs in the league now, a fantastic bullpen, so I think Boston sports, I'm spoiled here, for sure. We were down for like a year or two and like a couple months, but it feels like things are coming up roses. So I'm just excited in general for what's happening with all our major sports teams.
Yeah, Jacob.
I just hope we didn't jinx the Super Bowl when we all said it's going to be close. That's just, I just hope we didn't do that. I just think it's a great time to be a sports fan right now because we have so many things coming up. We got Olympics starting tomorrow with the opening ceremony. We got the NFL awards. We got the Super Bowl. We got World Baseball Classic coming up. MLB season is about to start. Basketball season's in full flow. It's been a great season. It's been pretty entertaining. We got the women's basketball stuff going on. The rivals and all that, and then college basketball is about to hit March Madness, and that's always fun. And then Arizona's still undefeated. If you guys don't know, it's a great time to be an Arizona Wildcat fan. That's for sure. I think I touched on mostly everything. It's just a great time to be a sports fan in general.
Right, Brandon.
I'm just going to say this. I'm going to touch on my last point I was making on Caleb Jones real quick. Penguins are second in the Metropolitan Division right now behind Carolina at 68 points. So that suspension might mean more now because he was probably a viable piece. One of the defensemen are like viable because he only had three lines in hockey. And the defensemen only have two in the back, so it's like he's, on one of the lines, he's important, so that might be a devastating blow for their playoff chances if they can't rally behind it. But others, as Jacob led to the women's stuff, women's basketball in the WNBA, that CBA, that is going to be looming over the next couple of weeks too. And they didn't get an offer. The players, when they had the meeting earlier this week, they did not get a great offer or anything like that. So that's looming as we're about to get into the swing of the women's college basketball tournament and all this stuff. And the season's about to start. It's supposed to start in May. They haven't had the expansion draft yet for the new teams that are coming in.
No, because they're waiting for that CBA to get done.
And they're waiting for the CBA. So that's big right now. Another thing that too, like we were saying earlier, baseball season about to be full swing. Pitchers and catchers report earlier than normal because of the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
So that's like a week and a half away. So that's gonna be fun. And I think that I'm just excited for this time. It's about to be spring. The flowers are going to be blooming. Baseball is going to be hit out of the park. So
well, I'm Andrew. This is Andrew Kim. This is Brandon Ellis, Jacob P. Ryan, Chris Brain, and Shane Foley. We are hoping to merge our site soon from sports into and Best Fantasy into one conglomerate. So we're excited for that and catch all our work there. We're going to be back Tuesday with the scheduled programming and likely recapping the Super Bowl and other sports news that are going to happen likely this weekend and all that. So stay tuned. See you next week.